Hi, my name's Ross Grieve. I'm here with the Photographer Academy. Today we're going to talk about 4K photography, how to shoot it, how to process it, and the benefits of it. So a little bit about me. I am a New Zealander, I'm not Australian, so I'll just get that put to bed straight away. Been in the UK 20 years and fell in love with 4K photography 2 years ago. I have been shooting it for 2 years, so I've been involved with the development and that sort of side. I strongly believe now, the way we're going, that we are in a new era where the technology is so small now and it's improving so quickly that it's a serious contender for professionals to look at and even enthusiastic amateurs to add to their kit bag and add another tool. And that's what 4K photography is. It's another tool in your kit bag. Okay, so 4K photography, we're going to talk you through the workflow, how to shoot it, how to edit it in camera, and how to edit it in Adobe Lightroom. I'm also going to talk why I changed to mirrorless. You also show you how good 4K is. The fact that I actually have 4K prints in my studio is testament to how good it is. And questions do you ask yourself? Do I need to suddenly sell my DSLR? These are all questions we ask ourselves every day with new technology coming out. How do we develop ourselves? And can I use mirrorless in my business? These are all subjects I'll go over so you can get all these and get your notepad out. Also, a really important question is what will my clients think when I'm using smaller cameras? It's something I come across quite a lot, and I'll discuss that point for you as well. And again, go over the fuss about 4K photo. So, Ross Grieve, the 4K pioneer, I've been called. I haven't labelled myself with that. It's just because I've been shooting 4K photo for 2 years. I've been pushing the boundaries. I was shooting SWPP 18 months ago, raising a few eyebrows there. And you'll see some of those photos today. And I was really testing it, seeing how big we could print it. And at that point, we were only printing A3. But I knew we could go beyond that. The photo behind me here, this is actually taken in Dublin. This is a street photography. It's actually taken through a pub window as well. Because when you're shooting 4K, there's no shutter going off, there's no intrusion, it's very quiet. So for street photography, you've got that complete stealth mode straight away. So where am I based? I'm based in Cresselly. I have a studio in Cresselly, portrait studio. I am an active photographer, shooting portraits, commercial, and also food photography. So down in my studio, you'll see lots of canvases. It's a very friendly open space, very child friendly, and lots goes on in there. And a lot of people ask me, what's in the bag? Everyone wants to know what photographers carry in the bag, what other people use, and quite frankly, how they use it. So I'm using a Lumix GH4, which is in the front, also a GX8. Both of these shoot in 4K. I also use the Leica Nocticron, which is 1.2 lens, which is my preferred lens for portrait photography, absolutely gorgeous. Street photography, I tend to use 15mm 1.7. 12 to 35 also comes out in the studio, or if I'm shooting food, I quite like that as well. And the 25mm, another tool in my bag which I use frequently. And all stuff in that bag as well, carrying around my MacBook Pro, which is right in front of me as well. So how did this mirrorless 4K journey start? It started up in London at SWPP a few years ago, and I bumped into Mark Babber from Panasonic. We got chatting with a guy called a Welsh photographer, very good sports photographer called Ian Cook. I was sitting down with a mate of mine as well called Dave Wall. And Mark's got talking, put a GX7 in my hand. And he said, what do you think? I said, oh, it's quite a cool little camera actually, don't mind that. Build felt really good. And I'm the sort of person who believes whatever camera you have, you've got to bond with it. Whatever brand you like, you've got to bond with it. And it's a very personal choice. And I picked up this and I felt very comfortable with it. So I went away from talk and I got in touch with Mark as I was going to New Zealand. So he said, take the GX7 out there with you and see what you think. Of course, I took my DSLR kit with me as well. Big bag. I didn't get it out once, much to my wife's disgust. And I used the GX7 the whole time, just with a 20mm lens, pancake lens on it. And behind me, you'll see some of the results. And these are very personal to me, sort of a lot of nostalgia in that. From my hometown, the kids having fun, to old memories, and so very personal, but it was light and I was impressed with it. So that sort of started my journey going down to smaller cameras. But in that time, you're always going to be carrying a comfort blanket of your DSLR around until you feel comfortable enough, because the fact is, you can't believe how good the technology is. So then I moved on to 4K photography, which is really what we're talking about today. It's just another tool where you get to exploit the frame rate of the camera as a photographer. Our cameras can shoot 10, 12 frames a second. When I'm shooting in 4K, I can get up to 30 frames a second. And that's very quick, 30 frames 1 second. Sports, food, portraiture, these all come into play when you're shooting 4K photography. Some people think it's cheating. It's not. You still need the same skills of photography. You need to be able to compose, get your composition and your lighting, all those elements correct for you to have a great 4K photo. This is my oldest boy, Morgan, just turned 14, and we shot this down in Freshwater West, where they shot, Harry Potter and Robin Hood. And we're just jumping off the sand dunes. I just had the camera land with me. This is shot in a GH4. And I was literally just trying out, so I didn't really know what I was doing, trial and error. I'm the typical guy who doesn't like reading the manual. I leave that in the toilet and read that at some stage there. I like to play with the camera and push it and find what it can do. And this is how easy I found it to be. Picked it up instantly. I've said you can shoot high-speed shutter, 30 frames a second, and that's a hell of an asset to carry around in something that small. The good thing about shooting in video mode is that it's discreet. So if you're into your street photography, or you've got someone in your studio who blinks a lot, you can take a photo, or start filming I should say, you can start filming and they won't know it's been taken. The bonus about it all is very, very quick to market. Using apps and say the Panasonic Image app, I can shoot in camera, save the JPEG in camera from the 4K photography, send that to my phone, put it on Twitter, Facebook, whatever I want to do, and that's straight to market. I don't have to go back to the office and process it back there. It's so usable on all platforms. Like I said, food, sports, portraiture, weddings. It's endless where you can use it. And it's really important to have an additional tool in your business, or if you're using it in personal life as well. You've got to use that same mindset as a photographer. You're not going to have loads of videographers running around suddenly taking over the world because 4K's out there. It's there for photographers to use as well. You can get really large prints out of it. And one of the examples is my mate Dave. So this is up in my studio. This is Dave, not me, by the way. I shot this SWPP. Dave was waiting for the shutter to go. He started making faces, and I'm going to show you later how we did that as well. So that's 38 inches, and I know after talking to Adobe, we can now go larger than that, because you don't have to rely on the natural or native size of a print, because the technology is there to make prints larger, so why not use it? And it's about having fun. All photos you take should have fun, whether you're working, out there playing, you've got to have that fun element. And of course, there's new tools for you to play around with and learn new skills, which is really stimulating as photographers. So what is 4K? 4K is 4 times the resolution of HD. Most of us, if not all of us, have got HD tellies at home. Imagine 4 times the resolution of that. There are 4K tellies out now, so you can play back your 4K footage. It's quite impressive to show your client footage on a 4K telly, trust me. But the technology is there, and it is higher than broadcast quality because it's 4 times the resolution of HD. It's a high-res video format. And the important phrase here, when you take frame grabs and create stills on camera, it's not a screen grab. A screen grab is your monitor, grabbing all the pixels from that. Frame grab is actually, imagine that negative strip that we used to have called film, and actually grab one of those stills and you print it. You're grabbing that frame and you're printing that frame. And I say printing because all images on screen look a hell of a lot better when they're printed, even Dave. And another important thing when you're shooting in 4K is to record on a U3 card. Now, a U3 is a very, very fast card, because if you don't record on a good enough card, you're going to drop frames. The frame rate will drop, so the card needs to be faster than the camera. Hence, if you use a U3, you should be safe. So you're thinking, well, I'm a photographer. Why do I want to use 4K? So you'll get moments like this. You go out with your kids, you go out at the pool, they start mucking around, and you're not going to be able to get those images by going click, click, click. There's moments now in our lives which are so quick, and we have so little time in our lives now because of technology, believe it or not. So we've got to use that technology to capture those moments. My kids and their mates having fun jumping off a pontoon. Excellent. Shot in the GX8, first time I'd had it, and again, very simple to use. So you're still thinking, why would I want to be a photographer? I've got my camera, I can just shoot stills. This is shot in a GH4 at 30 frames a second. I wouldn't be able to get that water exactly where I wanted, shooting on 12 frames a second. The bonus also is you can sometimes get things like this, which you kids absolutely love you for. So that's gone around the world. This was shown in Las Vegas, and I'll even show you now the winter version. So it's again, going back to that fun factor, easy to use, the kids, it's a lot of fun. Go over the backfield with the kids, run around, do some cartwheels, and you can stop frames like this. This is just over my backfield at home. But it's not just about action. This is a food photo I did for the Ward of Astoria. It's Japanese food, steam coming out of the pot. I was shooting stills and I could not get the steam coming out the way I wanted, so I flicked into 4K. And what happened, I think I did 18 seconds of filming, looked through, because I'm shooting at 30 frames a second, I was able to pick the exact frame where the smoke was perfect the way I wanted. Now I'm old school, I learnt on film, so I like to get things right in camera, and I like my workflow to be very simple. So I don't want to be thinking, oh, I can get it right, I can do it in Photoshop later on. Yes, you could, but I would rather be taking photos rather than sitting in front of a computer. Again, it's not just about action. This is a friend of mine in a pub in Dublin, obviously doing some research, and because I shot it in 4K, he didn't know the photo was being taken. He's looking out the window at the guy you saw earlier sitting in the window smoking. So I took a photo of that. He quite liked that. So it's perfect for street photography, just the photo I'm talking about. You can capture people, and it's quite ironic, there's a camera looking back at me there, very Orson Welles. You can capture people without them knowing. You're not being intrusive, you're not getting in their face. And that's the thing about good street photography. A good street photographer, no one will know they've been taken, and you'll have the most beautiful images. But also street photography, we move on to locations. Now, videographers will know about Vlog, photographers may not. Vlog is a very flat format which increases the dynamic range when you're shooting in video. This was shot in Vlog, and I've then done the alterations in Lightroom to boost the colours and everything. This is a friend of mine, Nick Quinn, very good skier, sponsored by Solomon. We went out, did a few shoots with him, and this is the result. He's absolutely stoked. But it's also great in the studio as well. Always good when you got your boys keen playing rugby. They play for Tenby. So it's awesome in the studio. Again, a lot of fun. This is lit with 2 LED lights either end. And it's, again, a very simple setup, which anyone can achieve. So we move on. What else can be achieved from 4K photography? Well, you can get the second 4K cover that's ever been produced. So it's got strength, and that sort of allows testament to the actual qualities there. Now you're still probably thinking, I'm carrying my DSLR around with me still, that's my comfort blanket, but I'm not using my DSLR because I like these cameras, what they can do. But I'm still struggling to believe what they can do. You just have to trust your equipment. Now, I was very slow moving from film to digital. So when I had the opportunity to shoot in 4K, I absolutely pounced at it because I wanted to understand this technology because I knew this was going to be a major player in a couple of years. Jumped onto it, and now I understand it. And now people are just starting to come onto it because a few manufacturers are starting to add it to their products when it's already been there for a few years. So you can push the boundaries with your equipment. But what does 1 second of 4K footage look like? I've talked about frame rate, high frame rate, how fantastic it is, but how good is it? What does that information look like in 1 second? And for all you rugby fans, this is what it looks like. So then you've suddenly created a great tool, and this is a very rough edit, I must add. This is 30 frames overlaid, but this is a very good tool for coaching, development, again, personal work, commercial work. It's endless what you can do. Now this is filmed on a GH4 using a DJI Ronin M. So I've got that stabilization. I'm actually moving around a bit, but it's nice and stable. But these tools are there to add to your kit. Now, this is Dave. I've downscaled this from 4K to 1080 because this is a 2009 MacBook Pro. So you don't have to suddenly think, I'm shooting in 4K, God, I've got to rush out and buy a new laptop. You don't, because you're grabbing the frames. And I'm going to show you how to do that through the medium of my mate Dave. So this is the footage.
Keep shooting. No, it's just continuous light. That's better.
So he was waiting for the flash to go off, so he started reacting. Then I put it on its side, starts pulling his face, back in focus again. And this is just using modeling lights. Pretty standard. So from that, I grabbed 3 photos. Like this one, pull in his face, try and be Mr. Hardman. And then, what's going on? So I got that, and that was just in that short amount of time, I've got all those photos. Bang, bang, bang. I wouldn't have got that reaction if the flash was going off, because he wanted to look cool and he would have held that face, because he started fooling around. He was relaxed, he was comfortable. From that, which you've already seen, came the 38-inch canvas, which I now know we could push it even more. So how do I get such a large canvas from an 8.3 meg file? And that's the file you get from 4K. So when you pull your frame, it's only an 8.3 meg file, which sounds tiny in sort of the grand scheme of things we have today. But because the technology is now there, we can use tools such as Photoshop. And if you go into Photoshop, go into image size, make sure you preserve your details for enlargement, choose your pixels or your inch, whatever you want to do, and then enlarge it to your size you want. And that's as simple as it is, and that's all I use. It works, so why not use it? So with all that in mind, talking about 4K, where to next? 6K, 8K. The future is so exciting for photography, and as photographers we're having to adapt again, we're having to learn a new skill set. Remember when digital cameras came out, how small those sensors are. This new technology is going to grow. Panasonic announced at Photokina 2014 that they aim to produce by 2020 8K and 6K cameras. So 8K, 6K, you'll be able to get 18 million pixel stills from. That's pretty impressive from a frame grab from a 6K video footage. 8K, you'll be able to get a 33 million pixel JPEG from. And again, that increases our options on how we do. Oh, it also increases our hard drive space, but hey, that's also developing as well. So just wrapping up, guys, I'm Ross Grieve, here with the Photographer Academy, and I hope to see you again soon.